Baruch Hashem Yahuwah, Bahashem Yahusha HaMashiach. All esteemed to God. All right, everybody, how you doing today? Shalom. Shalom, shalom. We're going to start off in Bereshit 29, Genesis 29. Actually, we're going to start off in Yohanan. We're going to go to Yohanan 15. That's where we're going to start. All right, everybody ready? Starting off in verse 12. This is my command, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has a greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if you do whatever I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, for all which I heard from my Father I have made known to you. So today we want to talk about a servant and a friend. And so it says, no longer do I call you servants. A servant does not know what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, for which I heard from my Father I have made known to you. So now we're going to go over to Genesis 29. And we're going to start off at verse 15. And Laban said unto Jacob, because you are my brother, should you therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall your wages be? And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. And Jacob loved Rachel, and said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. And they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had to her. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my woman, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for a handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this you have done unto me? Did I not serve you for Rachel? Wherefore then have ye beguiled me? And so we see right here that even though Jacob was Laban's blood relative, we see that he wasn't his friend. Because had he been his friend, he served him, but he wasn't his friend. Had he been his friend, he would have known what was going on. And we're going to go back over to John 15, Yohanan 15. Okay. 16. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should remain, so that whatever you ask in ask the Father in my name, he might give it to you. So we're going to run over here. We're going to keep that in mind. It says, you did not choose me, but I chose you. So we're going to run over here to 1 Samuel 9. 1 Samuel 9. And we're going to start off at verse 27. Once again showing that the difference between a servant and a friend and how that correlates to the Mashiach. 27. And as they were going to the end of the city, Shamuel said to Shaul, bid the servant pass on before us. And he passed on. But stand still a while, that I may show you the word of Elohim. So we clearly see that the servant had to continue on because the servant wasn't considered a friend. But let's go to chapter 10, just right the very next verse. Then Shamuel took a vial of oil and poured it upon his head and kissed him and said, is it not because Yahuwah has anointed you to be captain over his inheritance? So let's see where this comes from and how this relates to the Mashiach. We're going to run on over here to Marcus 14. Well, Mark 14. Let me get there one more thing. All right, Mark 14, and we're going to start off at verse 3. And being in Bethany in the house of Shimon the leper, as he sat at meat, there came a woman having an alabaster box of ointment of spikenard very precious, and she broke the box and poured it on his head. And there were some that had indignation within themselves and said, why this waste of the ointment made? So now we're going to come back over here to John 15, seeing there the correlation between Shaul and the Mashiach as far as the anointment being poured on his head. It says, we're going to go to verse 17. These I command you so that you love one another. If the world hates you, know that it hated me before you. If you were the world would love its own. But because you are not of the world, yet I chose you out of the world. For that reason, the world hates you. So we're going to run back over here real quick to Mark 14. And said this time, though, we're going to come over to verses 43. And immediately while he yet spoke, came Yehuda, one of the 12, with him a great multitude with swords and staves, from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders. And he that betrayed him had given them a token, saying, whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Take him and lead him away safely. And as soon as he was come, he goes straightway to him and said, Master, Master, and kissed him. And they laid their hands on him and took him. So when we were just reading in Shamuel, 1 Samuel 1 Samuel 10, we saw Shaul doing what? He was anointed with the oil, but then what happened? He said he was given a kiss, and what did Shamuel say to him? He says, did not Yah choose you? So we see at this point, that's a similitude of Yahusha, because Yah chose Yahusha to fulfill the part that he was, and we were able to see how he was anointed with the oil, and then he was able to receive the kiss as well, which the kiss symbolized the betraying, so being able to see that similitude between the two. So now we're going to go over to 1 Samuel 16. No, we're going to go to John. We're going to go to John 15. I'm going to finish it out and then I'm going to reference it back. We're going to 1 John 15. These I command, verse 17, these I commanded you that you love one another. If the world hates you, know that it hated me before you. If you were of the world would love its own. But because you are not of the world, yet I choose you out of the world. For that reason the world hates you. Remember the word that I said to you. A servant is no greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they shall persecute you too. If they have guarded my word, they will guard yours too. But all this they shall do to you because of my name, because they do not know him who sent me. If I had not come and spoken to them, they would have no sin. But now they have no excuse for their sin. He who hates me hates my Father as well. If I do not do among them the works which no one else did, they have no sin. But now they have both seen and have hated both me and my Father. But that the word might be fulfilled, which was written in the Torah, they hated me without a cause. We're going to run over to 1 Samuel 16 now. So once again, we're looking at what a servant and a friend is, and also how Shaul and related to the Mashiach as well, slightly. Well, and we're going to start off at verse 13. So we saw that Shaul had originally been anointed to be the king, but things have switched up a little bit. So 1 Samuel 13, verse 13. And Shamuel said to Shaul, you have done foolishly. You have not kept the commandment of Yahuwah your Elohim, which he commanded you. For now would Yahuwah have established your kingdom upon El Yashrael forever. But now your kingdom shall not continue. Yahuwah has sought him a man after his own heart, and Yahuwah has commanded him to be captain over his people, because you have not kept all that which Yahuwah commanded you. And I'm just going to reference it back. Back in John, it says what? This is my command, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. So seeing that, you are my friends if you do whatever I command you. Because Shaul had went against Yahuwah, at that point, he was no longer Yahuwah's friend because he didn't do what Yahuwah had commanded him to do. We're going to run over here to 1 Samuel 16. And we're going to start off at verse 12. And he sent and brought him in. No, we're going to start at verse 7. My bad. Start off at verse 7. But Yahuwah said unto Shamuel, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For Yahuwah sees not as man sees, for man looks on the outward appearance, but Yahuwah looks on the heart. So one of the things that Yahuwah had just said in 1 Samuel 13 was like, I seek a man that's after my own heart. And so he's letting him know, once again, I seek a man that's after my own heart. And Yahuwah looks upon the heart. So now we're going to go down to verse 12. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and withal a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And Yahuwah said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Shamuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Ruach of Yahuwah came upon Daud from that day forward. So Shamuel rose up and went to Ramah. But the Ruach of Yahuwah departed from Shaul, and an evil spirit from Yahuwah troubled him. So one of the things that's going to happen is, once you do go outside the command of Yahuwah and you're no longer his friend, you're going to be open and susceptible for different things to happen to you, things that are not of Yahuwah. Like he says, I will give you over to your father, I will give you over to your wickedness. So an evil spirit has not come upon Shaul. But let's see what happens, because throughout everything, as we know, we have to be able to see the similitude between Yahusha and every word that is written in his word. 15. And Shaul's servant said unto him, behold, now an evil spirit from Elohim troubles you. Let our Lord now command your servants which are before you to seek out a man who is a cunning player on a harp. And it shall come to pass, when the evil spirit from Elohim is upon you, that he shall play with his hand, and you shall be well. And Shaul said unto his servant, provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the servants and said, behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in playing, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and Yahuwah is with him. Wherefore Shaul sent his messengers unto Jesse and said, send me David, your son, which is with the sheep. And so at this point, Shaul was sending for David, telling him to come. And he says, what? With the sheep, 20. And Jesse took an ass and laid it with bread and a bottle of wine and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Shaul. So what did David come with? David came with bread. We know that Yahushua is what? The bread of life. And he came with wine. He says what? Drink this cup, and this represents my blood. Mm-hmm. And the kid, and we know that Yahushua was also the sacrificial lamb. Mm. And then also I know in some versions it may say goat, and so we know Yahushua was what? He was that scapegoat, that goat sent off into the wilderness. And David came to Shaul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. So if he's his armor bearer, he was his servant at that point. So he became one of his servants. Shaul, not knowing that Daud had been anointed, and so what it makes me think about is how with Yahusha, after he was anointed with the oil and then given the kiss, what happened? They said they took him away. This is the instance where Dawood was anointed with the oil and then he was taken away in order to do the service of Yahuwah.
And Saul was trying to betray him too. That's why he was trying to kill him.
And so now we're going to go over to... Oh, 23. And it came to pass when the evil spirit from Elohim was upon Shaul that David took a harp and played with his hand. So Shaul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. We're going to go over to we're going to go over to 1 Samuel 18 now. And like I said, once again, just to reference back to Yohanan, these I command you so that you love one another. If the world hates you, know that it hated me before you. If you were of the world would love its own. But because you are not of the world, yet I choose you out of the world. For that reason, the world hates you. So back at 1 Samuel 7. And the woman answered one another as they played and said, Shaul has slain his thousands, and Dawood his 10,000. And Shaul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto Dawood 10,000, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? And Shaul eyed Dawood from that day forward. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from Elohim came upon Shaul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house. And Dawood played with his hand as at other times. And there was a javelin in Shaul's hand. And Shaul cast that javelin, for he said, I will smite Dawood even to the wall with it. And Dawood avoided out of his presence twice. So we're seeing right here where, once again, referencing back to that John 15, that in the world you shall have tribulations. Like they hated me because they have hated the one which has sent me. They've hated my father. So being able to see that hate that Shaul had for Dawood was really for the father. Mm-hmm. And all David was coming to do was to soothe him and to comfort him. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to go over to 1 Samuel 20. We're going to start off at verse 12. No, we're going to start off at the top. We're going to start off at the top. But like I said, once again, looking at a servant and a friend and being able to see the correlation. So here at 1 Samuel 20. And Dawood fled from Naboth in Ramah and came and said before Jonathan, what have I done? What is my iniquity? So back to like I said, we don't have to flip, but back to John 15, it says, but that the word might be filled, which was written in the Torah, they hated me without a cause. We're able to see how Shaul hated Dawood without a cause. And what is my sin before your father that seeks my life? And he said unto him, Elohim forbid, you shall not die. Behold, my father will do nothing either great or small, but that he will show it to me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? It is not so. Yeah. So in a sense, that's Jonathan saying, well, my father's going to let me know what he's doing. I'm his friend in a sense. He said, there's nothing that's going to happen unless he lets me know. And he says, and Dawood swore moreover and said, your father certainly knows that I have found grace in your eyes, or allegiance at that point, in his eyes. And he says, let not Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly as Yahuwah lives, and as your soul lives, there is but a step between me and death. And that made me think about Yahusha after he was delivered up. It was nothing but a step to death at that point, knowing what was what was to come. Then said Jonathan unto Dawood, whatsoever your soul desires, I will even do it for you. Okay, we're going to go to 5, verse 5. Sorry about that. And David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with my king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field unto the 3rd day at evening. Okay, so we're going to jump down to verse 8 now. Therefore you shall deal kindly with your servant, for you have brought your servant into a covenant of Yahuwah with you notwithstanding. If there be in me iniquity, slay me yourself. For why should you bring me to your father? And Jonathan said, Far be it from you. For I knew certainly that evil were determined by my father to come upon you. Then would not I tell you, would I not let you know that my father's going to try to kill you? Then said Daud unto Jonathan, Who shall tell me? Or what if your father answers you roughly? And Jonathan said unto Daud, Come and let us go out into the field. And they went out both of them into the field. And Jonathan said unto Daud, O Yahuwah Elohim of Yashrael, when I have sounded my father about tomorrow, any time or the third day, and behold, if there be good toward Daud, and I then sin not unto you and show it you, Yahuwah do so and much more to Jonathan. But if it please my father to do you evil, then I will show it you and send you away, that you may go in shalom or peace. And Yahuwah be with you as he has been with my father. And so at this point, we see who Jonathan's allegiance was with. It was no longer with his father, but it was with Daud. It was with his king. And you shall not only while yet I live show me the kindness of Yahuwah, that I die not. But also you shall not cut off your kindness from my house forever. No, not when Yahuwah has cut off the enemies of Daud, everyone from the face of the earth. So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of Daud, saying, Let Yahuwah even require it at the hand of David's enemies. And Jonathan calls out David to swear again, because he loved him, for he loved him as he loved his own soul. Back to that John 15, we don't have to go there, but this is my command, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has a greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. So back at 1 Samuel, and we're going to go over to verse 30. Then Shaul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, and he said unto him, You son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do not I know that you have chosen the son of Jesse to your own confusion, and unto the confusion of your mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse lives upon the ground, you shall not be established, nor your kingdom. Wherefore now send and fetch him unto me, for he shall surely die. At this point, Jonathan was willing to lay down his life and go before his father at this point in order for Daud's sake. 32. And Jonathan answered Shaul his father and said unto him, Wherefore shall he be slain? What has he done? Back again to that 25 of 1 John 15. But that the word might be fulfilled, which was written in the Torah. They hated me without a cause. And Shaul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay Daud. So Jonathan rose from the table in fierce anger, and did eat no meat the second day of the month, but he was grieved for Daud, because his father had done him shame. 35. And it came to pass in the morning that Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with Daud, and a little lad with him. And he said unto his lad, Run, find out now the arrows which I shoot. And as the lad ran, he shot an arrow beyond. And when the lad was come to the place of the arrow which Jonathan had shot, Jonathan cried after the lad and said, Is not the arrow beyond you? And this was earlier in the chapter. This is the agreement that Jonathan and Daud had made, saying that I'm going to go out there in the field. If I say if it's beyond you, then that should let you know that you shall flee. And then it said at the appointed time, he said, Come to me at the evening of the third day. We know, so at this point, by Jonathan doing this, he was able to grant him to be able to live. And we know that the Mashiach was able to get up on what day? On the evening of the third day. So being able to see that similitude, he was able to have life. 1 Samuel 20:37. And when the lad was come to the place of the arrow with 38. And Jonathan cried after the lad, Make speed, haste, stay not. And Jonathan's lad gathered up the arrows and came to his master. But the lad knew not anything, only Jonathan and Daud knew the matter. And Jonathan gave his artillery unto his lad and said unto him, Go, carry them to the city. Once again, the difference between a servant and a friend. This was his servant, so he sent him on, so he didn't know what was going on. But his friend did, because his friend was out there, which was David. 41. And as soon as the lad was gone, David arose out of a place toward the south and fell on his face to the ground and bowed himself 3 times. And they kissed one another and wept one with another until David exceeded. And Jonathan said to Daud, Go in shalom, for as much as we have sworn, both of us, in the name of Yahuwah, saying, Yahuwah be between me and you, and between my seed and your seed forever. And he rose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. So being able to see here that love that they have for one another, that love for his brother, that love for being willing to go before his father, knowing his father was an ill-tempered man, because knowing before in Samuel where Saul had given out a decree saying, if anyone eats, then they shall surely be killed at this point. So knowing that it was other instances that he know his dad was ready to kill him in that instance, but the people told him not to kill him. So he was willing to stand up for Dawood in this kind of a situation, knowing that death was an option. So he was willing to lay his life down for his brother and for his friend. Exactly. So we're going to go over to Mark 10. Being able just to tie everything up and make some sense out of it. We're going to start off at verse 42. But Yahusha called them to him and said unto them, Ye know that they which are accounted to rule over the other people exercise lordship over them, and this great one exercise authority upon them. But so shall it not be among you. But whosoever will be great among you shall be your minister or your servant. And whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all. For even the Son of Adam came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life for a ransom for many. So being able to show that servitude, there's nothing wrong with being a servant, and we should seek to be a servant. But the difference between us and Yahusha is we're able to, even though we're his servant and we serve for Yahusha, he counts us as a friend. So there's nothing that we do that we're not made abreast of. He lets us know what's going on, what's the game plan, instead of us just out here moving, not knowing what's going on. And that's that ahab, that's that love that he has for us. And we're going to run over to Matthew 10. We're going to start off at verse 24. The disciples is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the Talmudim, or the disciples, that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered and shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. So being able to see is like if they talked about the Mashiach, that once again, that persecution being able to receive. The same way that Shaul came for Dawood, he was seeking to persecute him for no reason. And then at the same time, Jonathan was persecuted. So being able to see with the Mashiach, he said, they call me Beelzebub, so what do you expect them to say of you? And we're going to go down to 34, verse 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I come not to send peace or shalom, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. So being able to see that even in the Torah, even there, or in the Tanakh, even at that point, being able to see where variance was set in a man's own house. Jonathan and Shaul were set against one another over the righteous, over the one that was willing to actually follow the command of Yahuwah and do what it is that Yahuwah said to do, and to do it right. And so at that point you were able to see he chose his friend over his own father because he knew that he had to do that. 37. He that loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that takes not his stake and follows after me is not worthy of me. He that finds his life shall lose it, and he that loses his life for my sake shall find it. Looking at Jonathan, how his father said, oh, you of a whorish woman. He said, for as long as David is still alive, you shall not be able to take the throne. So at that point, he laid down his life. It was no longer his life. He laid it down. Because as long as David was alive, like he said, you can't take the throne. So at that point, he lost his life. He lost what he thought he was going to inherit at that point. Verse 40. He that receives you receives me, and he that receives me receives him that sent me. And he that receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he that receives a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whosoever shall give to drink that part I'm not sure, so I'm not going to. So I'm going to stop there. Just being able to show that had Shaul received Dawood the way that he was supposed to, like he said, he called him unto him, and he didn't take it. It turned into evil. He repaid him evil for his good. So that's why I just want to show, as far as a servant and a friend, and being able to go into the Torah and show just as similar to with Shaul, Jonathan, and David, and seeing how Jonathan had to forsake his family, his inheritance, and everything in order to truly be a friend. And back, like I said, back in that John 15, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. He loved him as he loved him. No one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends if you do whatever I command you. Dawood commanded Jonathan. Jonathan said, so what is it that you shall have me do, and I will do it. He was willing to follow the command of his friend. He was willing to follow the command of the one that had, he was willing to be a servant. Like it says, the greatest of you shall be the greatest servant. And that's it.
All right. Very good, young man. Very good, young man. All right, then. Y'all all right on here? All right. Y'all give Corey a round of applause. We appreciate it. Not next on deck. Weighing about $115. Standing at about 5 foot and 3/4.
Knock you down every time.
There go little Stanley.
Yeah, you can just leave that chair, bro.
Oh, you gonna stand?
Not yeah, I'm just
All right, man. Come on with it. See what you got.
There is, get me the Yukonon chapter 4, verse 23. That's John 4:23. And you can get me, you can focus on this right here. Yeah.
That nigga sure enough still fit in the frame.
So I'm keeping in style, man. I better get in the program.
Ain't no style, man.
Once you go small, you never go tall.
Could have kept that to yourself.
Let you know, man.
Hey, man.
Start off tall.
Yeah. Don't get mad at us. Won't stop.
So you got me your Yukonon chapter 4, verse 23. It's John 4:23. You get me Luke 24:44. Here's wisdom.
But the hour is coming, and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father also does seek such to worship him. Elohim is a spirit, and those who worship him need to worship him in spirit and truth.
Okay. That's my scripture right there. We already know in them days, the true worship, the true Yahudim, waking up and worshiping the Most High in spirit and truth. We gather here on this Shabbat. And boy, the white gonna get read Luke 24:44.
It says, and he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses, and in the prophets, and in the Psalms concerning me.
Yes, sir. So we already know Yahushua come in the volume of the book. You know what I'm saying? Everything that's written in the law and in the prophets, all points to him. There's get me first cuff, chapter 2, verse 4. I'm going to read 4 through 8. Family, what does cuff mean? Troy, Dwayne?
Peter.
Huh?
Peter.
It means Peter. What else does it mean?
Oh, rock.
Rock. What else? One more. I'm looking for one more though. Palm in the hand. Right? Palm in the hand. Alright, first cuff. 2, verse 4. Here's wisdom.
Draw near to him, a living stone, reject indeed by men, but chosen by Elohim and precious. You also as living stones are being built up, a spiritual house, a set apart priesthood, to offer up a spiritual slaughtering offerings acceptable to Elohim through Yahusha, the Messiah. Because it is contained in the scripture, see, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, chosen, precious, and he who believes on him shall by no means be put to shame.
So we know Yahusha is that chief cornerstone. He's that rock, that cuff. He's that rock. You know what I'm saying? Peter was a good friend or a disciple. You could say, yeah, he was a good friend of the Messiah. And we are building up that spiritual sacrifice for the master, for the Malak, for the King Yahusha. You get me 1 Samuel 17, verse 4. And you hold Daniel chapter 2, 31. So, Kaf, we know that, you know what I'm saying, he basically say we building up that spiritual rock, you know what I'm saying, and he was the chief cornerstone, and we're going to see how all this tie in together. So, keep in mind that rock, that palm of the hand, and that stone. We already know the stone is Yahusha. So this 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 40. Here's wisdom.
And he took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones.
Hold on. 5 smooth stones. Remember that. 5 smooth stones. Continue.
And he chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near the Philistine. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David. And the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy and fair of countenance.
Pause, hold on. So right there we see David coming up to Goliath. And when you think of Goliath, you think of a big, you know what I'm saying, a big statue or a big person. How tall they say Goliath was? Troy? He was a giant. They say he was
6 cubes, 7 cubes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So he was a giant. He looked at David like, man, he ain't nothing but a youth. You know what I'm saying? David only got 5 stones in his hand. All right, keep reading.
It says, and the Philistine said unto David, am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, thou comest to me with a sword, and a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of Yah.
Hold on. David said, you come to me with all these weapons, but I'm coming in the name of Yahuwah. That's what Yucatan 5:43, Yahusha said, I come in the name of Yahuwah, but you receive me not. So David coming up to Goliath, the big whatever how tall he was, and David just small. He looking at him like, you coming at me with all this and you big in that, but shoot, I'm just a youth. You know what I'm saying? I come in the name of Yahuwah. I got 5 stones. Keep reading.
It says, I come in the name of Yah of hosts, the Elohim of the armies of Israel.
Stop at verse 47.
Alright, whom thou hast defied. This day will Yah deliver thee into my hands, and I will smite thee and take thy head from thee. I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and unto the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a Elohim in Yasharah.
So that boy David came at Goliath with some tone in his voice, with some bass, with some confidence. He said, hey, I come in the name of Yahuwah. He going to deliver you in my hand, Yahuwah of hosts. All right, so now we're going to go to Daniel chapter 2. We're going to start from verse 31. Daniel chapter 2. Starting with verse 31. My brother Darius going to get you right. Here's wisdom.
You, O syringe, were looking on and saw a great image. This great image and its brightness excellent was standing before you.
Hold on. So right now we at Daniel chapter 2. Now, reason why I was trying to get you to picture Goliath and how big he was, because when I take you to Daniel 2, King Nebuchadnezzar, he had a dream of a big statue, right? So that big statue, you could look at it, I was looking at it like, look at Goliath. Goliath was big, you know what I'm saying? David came at him with 5 stones. Now you going to Nebuchadnezzar, his dream, he a big statue, right? So let's continue reading.
And his form was awesome. The image's head was on fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay.
All right, hold on. Now, this is what I want you to get you to understand. He described, in verse 32, they described his body. They said his head was what?
They said it was of fine gold.
Head is gold, that's one, right?
Its chest and arms of silver.
Chest and arms of silver, that's 2, right?
Its belly and thighs of bronze.
That's 3, right?
Its legs of iron.
And that's 4, right?
Its feet partly of iron and partly of clay.
That's 5. So look at those 5 different things as these stones that David had, right? Now you read verse 48 and 49. All right, go back to 1 Samuel 17. So you just say right here. So basically, those 5, like King Nebuchadnezzar, his head, arms, shoulders, waist, thighs, legs, feet. 5. David had 5 stones in his hand. So the white is going to take you back to 1 Samuel chapter 17. He's starting at verse 48. Here's wisdom.
It said, and it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it and smote the Philistine in his forehead.
Pause. Where did he slang and hit the Philistine?
In his forehead.
Hit him in his forehead. Right? Stone, cuff, rock, palm of the hand. Hit him in his forehead. You go back to Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2. Drop down to 37. 37. Chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2, verse 37.
You also range.
Hold on. Everyone good? Alright, here's wisdom.
You also range, a syringe of syringes, for the Ella of the heavens has given you a ring, power and strength and preciousness. And whatever the children of men dwell are the beasts of the field and the birds of the heavens, he has given them.
Chapter 2?
Yeah, you said 2, verse 37.
31. Oh, yeah. True. Sorry. Continue.
All right, and whatever the children of men dwell are the beasts of the field and the birds of the heavens. He has given them into your hand and has made your ruler over them all. You are the head of gold.
All right. So they said, Daniel told King Nebuchadnezzar, you are the head of the gold, right? 5 stones. David's hit Goliath in the head, and that's how he fell, right? And King Nebuchadnezzar was the king of what?
Babylon.
King of Babylon. Head, stone. David slung at Goliath, hit him in the head. He fell. The dream, you know what I'm saying, Daniel told him in the 38th, 37th verse that you are the head of gold. And we know King Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon, right? Go to Kazum, which is Revelation, chapter 17, verse 5. Kazum, chapter 17, verse 5. Revelation, chapter 17, verse 5. You give me that. All right, here's wisdom.
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and abomination of the earth.
All right, read it again. On her forehead, what?
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and the abomination of the earth.
So on the forehead was Babylon. King could never head gold. He was the king of Babylon. 5 stones David slung at the head. Right? Now go to Psalms 136. 137. Psalms 137. I think that was verse 8. Psalms 137, verse 8. Here's wisdom.
O daughter of Babel, who are to be destroyed, blessed is he who repays you your deed, what you did to us. Blessed is he who shall take and dash your little ones against the rock.
Against the rock. He said, Babylon soon to be destroyed, huh? Do I go to Revelation 18? Kazum 18. Kazum, Revelation 18. We'll start from verse 1. Here's wisdom.
It says, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitations of devils.
Okay.
And the whole of every foul spirit, and cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
All right, that's cool. All right, so right there you see Revelation, or when he read Psalms 137, verse 8, it says, daughter of Babylon soon to be destroyed. We know that stone that's coming is Yahusha, who the builders reject. What Koph said, that rock, that palm of the hand, which David had, slung it at Goliath, hit him in the head. Take you to Daniel chapter 2, he had that vision of that big statue. The gold represents King Nimrod, not King Nimrod, Nebuchadnezzar. The head, we know he was the king of Babylon. Babylon's soon going to be destroyed by that same rock, that same Koph. And we're going to end it with Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu means Yah's salvation. Yeshayahu chapter 66. And we're going to go to verse 15.
Isaiah?
That's Isaiah. Isaiah 66, verse 15. Yeshayahu is the Hebrew name for Isaiah, which means Yah's salvation. So Isaiah chapter 66, verse 15. My brother Dwight gonna get you right. You know what I'm saying? But here's wisdom.
For behold, Yah will come with fire and with chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Yah plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yah shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden behind one tree in the midst, eat swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith Yah.
So my whole lesson today was just to get you to understand Koph, which is that rock, which is Peter, how we building them spiritual sacrifices under Yah, killing the old man, putting the old man to death, so we could follow the Mashiach that is soon to come. We'll meet him in Jerusalem, Yah willing. We got to sacrifice our flesh and continue to endure to the end. Some people going to fall by the wayside. But like Brother Dwayne was saying yesterday, is that straight and narrow. You got to stay on that straight and narrow, because a lot of people, for me, they're called, few are chosen. A lot of people ain't going to continue on this walk. You know what I'm saying? Persecutions, tribulations, you know what I'm saying? Especially people in your own household. People in your own household, they're going to be, you know what I'm saying, putting you down, condemning you, making you feel bad, but you still got to stay in that strong faith. You got to keep it going, because he that endures to the end shall be saved. So that spirit, that stone, that the builders reject, which is Yahusha. You know what I'm saying? We put our strive is focusing on him, and by him, you know what I'm saying, we can have that everlasting life. And we know that the 5 stones that King David had, symbolic of Yahusha, that's why he said he come in the name of Yahuwah of hosts. That stone, he slung it, killed the Goliath in the head. King Nebuchadnezzar is that Babylon. Babylon shall be fallen. And that was my lesson. And thank you.
Y'all on the phone, y'all all right? All right. We appreciate little standing. We're gonna keep it on rolling. And here come Pale. Come on, Pale.
Stay here, you good.
Oh.
You got it? You go? Touch me.
Praise y'all for Yahushua HaMashiach. Honor, power, and might unto his name. And we're going to start this off. We're going to start this off in John chapter 5, verse 39. John 5, verse 39.
Thief.
John 5. You can give me that one.
Says, search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in the Father's name, and ye receive me not. If I shall come in his own name, if another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and seek not the honor that cometh from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuse you, even Moses, in whom you trust. For have ye believed Moses, you have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if ye believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words?
So this is dealing with belief in HaMashiach. We see that Mashiach, that he said he wrote of him. It said, if you believe Moses, you would have believed me. It said they will not come unto him that they might have life. And I'm really dealing with something concerning the love between HaMashiach and his wife, Yasharal, because he bestowed his love upon us that we should be called children of Elohim. So let's give me Genesis chapter 2 and start this off at verse 21. Yeah.
All right. And Yah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof.
So we already know that Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon him. And we look at Hamashiach, how he caused that deep sleep to fall upon him. Like we see in Genesis 49, it says, let me get that real quick, Genesis 49. Genesis 49, it says, we're going to look at one of the tribes of Israel, which they, I forget what they say Issachar is, but
14, I think
here or there.
You're looking for verse 14.
14, it says, Issachar was a strong ass couching down between two burdens. And he saw that rest was good and that the land was pleasant. And he bowed his shoulder to bear and became a servant under tribute. So we sit here looking at, he looked and saw that rest was good. And we beholding Adam in this deep sleep falling upon him. He taking his rib, which is that spear which he used to bring forth children. They hit him in the side, and that blood and that water came out of his side. it says he bowed his shoulder to bear. That goes back to what Brother Corey was saying about becoming a servant and becoming a friend. You have to make yourself lowly and become a servant. So, and you also, you can look at that relation between a husband and a wife. That a husband will bow himself and bear the burdens that contain, that's pertaining to the household. He will bow down in himself willingly and bear that burden. We go back to Genesis chapter 2 and verse 22. 22.
It says, "And the rib which Yah Elohim had taken from man, he made a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, Now this is bone of my bones."
Hold on, one second. See how he took this woman, and it said he brought her unto the man. Psalm 65. Psalm 65, this is right now. And verse 4. Give me that in white.
It says, "Baruch, or blessed is the man of whom thou chosest, and causest to approach unto thee, that he may dwell in thy courts. Ye shall be satisfied with the goodness of thy house, even thy Kodesh temple."
So we look at this and how he said in John chapter 5, he said, "You will not come unto me that you might have life." So it said, "Blessed is the man whom thou choose and cause to approach unto me." He said in John, I forget what that said. Let's quote it. John chapter 5. I want you to give me that in white too. John chapter 5. No, John chapter 6 and verse 44.
It says, "No man can come unto me except the Father which has sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day."
So it says, no man can come unto him except the Father which have sent him draw him, and he will raise him up at the last day. That means he calls, that's the same as Elohim causing the wife to approach unto Adam. So that this is the same thing that's going on here. So let's go back to Genesis chapter 2 and verse 22. And this, we're looking at Moses. And he said, if you believed Moses, you would have believed me. Verse 22.
It says, "And the rib which Yah Elohim had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she is taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed."
So we look at this. It says, he said, "This is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh." So let's hit Proverbs. And we already know how the jealousy of a man and his wife. And, because let's go to Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 24. Start at verse 24. Oh, verse 22 actually.
It says, "When thou goest, it shall lead thee. When thou sleepest, it shall keep thee. And when thou awakenest, it shall talk with thee. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light. And reproofs of instruction are the way of life. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Can a man take fire in his bosom, and his clothes not be burnt? Can one go upon hot coals, and his feet not be burned? So he that goeth into his neighbor's wife, whosoever touches her shall not be innocent.
So it said, whosoever touched this man's wife shall not be innocent. It said, can you go upon hot coals and your feet not be burned? Can you take fire in your bosom and your clothes not be burned? So let's go to Romans chapter 11 and see some of these things that were said. Not Romans chapter 11, Matthew, John. Make sure this is right. Luke chapter. I'm looking for passages where he said, it might be John chapter. Okay, it's actually John chapter 11. John chapter 11 and verse 47.
It says, then gathered the priests and the Pharisees a council, and said, what do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
So they looked at the nation as if it belonged to him, but the wife had belonged to Yahushua, and they was trying to come and take his inheritance and the things that belonged unto him. So it said jealousy is a rage of a man. You know, he won't regard any ransom. You know what I'm saying? And we look at that and behold that's talking about the jealousy of Hamashiach that he has for his wife. Let's see. And I also look at something that was looked at. I forget which brother had brought that up about Saul saying, what more can David have but the kingdom? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? What more can he have but the kingdom? This is what they were looking at. What more can he have but our place in our nation? What more can he have but the kingdom? So, with that, I want to go to... Colossians chapter 2. Actually, I want to go back to Genesis because I want to see and show how the love that Hamashiach had for his wife in this instance. All right, chapter 3, Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1.
Because now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have Elohim said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? The woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For Elohim doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat.
So this is... Let me go over to, because when she said this tree, she saw this tree that was good for food. It was pleasant to the eyes. So let's go to 1 John. And we see how she was taken down by this, what looks pleasant to the eyes. 1 John chapter 2, hold your place in Genesis 3. 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15.
It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world.
So she saw this fruit, and it was the lust of the eyes and the pride of life, because that's dealing with pride when she didn't obey the Father's commandments, because she saw that her way was what she wanted to do. What she wanted to do is what she wanted to do, regardless of what the Father had commanded. Through, of course, Adam, because Adam would have gave the word to his wife. And verse 17, let's read
It says, and the word passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of Elohim abideth forever.
So there's that death. You know what I'm saying? The world pass away. When you lust after the world, you're going to pass away with it. So go back to Genesis chapter 3 and where you left off. Just in verse 6.
It says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof and did eat, and also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
So she took this fruit, gave it to her husband also with her, and then he did eat. Colossians chapter 2. No, actually Hebrews chapter 2. Hebrews chapter 2. And you're gonna be able to see like the amount. See, when she ate that fruit, that was death. You know, because she disobeyed the Father's commandments. Hebrews chapter 2, and start this off at verse. Verse 9.
It says, but we see Yahushua, who was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of Elohim, should taste death for every man.
So you go and see that, and you see how he tasted that fruit, and he tasted death for his wife, in order to redeem his wife. So it say by the grace of Elohim that he do this. So let's go and look at something else. Go back to Genesis chapter 3. No. Let's see what we got here. We're going to go to John chapter 14. John 15. John chapter 15 and verse 12.
It says, this is my commandment, that ye love one another, as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that he may lay down his life for his friends.
So by him, Adam, doing what he did by tasting that fruit with his wife, he showed his wife how he loved her because he laid down his life for his wife. And he died with his wife when he did that act. So this is showing actually the testimony of Yahshua HaMashiach, how he died for us, and the amount of love that he had for us, that he would die for us, he would give his life for us, that we might have life. Let's see, go to Hosea chapter 2. Hosea chapter 2. Hosea chapter 2 and verse 13.
It says, and I will visit upon her the days of Balaam, wherein she burnt incense to him, and she decked herself with her earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers and forgot me, saith Yah.
Doesn't that like if you have a wife and your wife goes to other lovers, doesn't that provoke you to jealousy? You know, because Elohim is a jealous Elohim.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? So that's going to provoke him, of course, to jealousy. Any man that has a wife is going to be jealous. It's like jealousy is the rage of a man. He won't regard any ransom, though you give many gifts. You know what I'm saying? So, verse 14.
It says, therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Acher from a door of hope. And she shall sing there and in the days of her youth, as in the days when she came up out of the land of Egypt.
So he said he's going to lure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. Let's see how this was manifested. John chapter 14. John chapter 14. And start this at verse 12.
It says, verily, verily, or truly, truly, I say unto you, he that believe on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. And whosoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If ye love me, keep my commandments. And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he abide with you forever. Even the Ruach of truth, whom the world cannot receive, but it seeth him not, neither knoweth him, but ye know him, for he dwelleth with you, and shall be in you. I will not leave you comfortless, I will come to you.
So we look at this and we see him comforting his wife. Like, just like how he said, I will allure her. You know what I'm saying? It's just the same as he said, he called Adam's wife, he brought her unto him. So he allured her and comforted her concerning these words. So skip down to verse 26. Skip down to verse 26 in John 14.
It says, but the Comforter, which is the Ruach HaKodesh, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things, and bring all things to your remembrance, whosoever I have said unto you. Peace I leave you with, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid.
So he's speaking peace unto his wife. Just like I forget what just slipped my mind. It was concerning. Let me just go on 2 Samuel. 'Cause it just slipped my mind. 2 Samuel. Keep reading. Keep going down. Verse 28.
Alright. It says, ye have heard how I said unto you, I go away and come again unto you. If ye love me, ye will rejoice, because I said, I go unto my Father, for my Father is greater than I. And now I have told you before it come to pass, that when it come to pass, ye might believe. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh and have nothing in me, but that the world may know that I love the Father, and as the Father gave me commandment, even so I do. Arise, let us go hence.
So he is basically comforting his disciples concerning this matter, and he's comforting his wife. He's alluring his wife with comforting words. Back to Hosea chapter 2. Hosea chapter 2, pick up where you left off.
Should be verse 16.
Okay.
It says, and it shall be at that day, saith Elohim, that thou shalt call me Ishi, and shalt call me no more Baal. Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
For I will take away the names of Balaam out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name.
So he said basically, Ishi means you're going to call me husband instead of Baali. Baali is like just similar to master. You're going to call me husband instead of calling me master. Keep going down. 17.
It says, for I will take 18, and in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely. And I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness, and in judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercies.
Mm-hmm.
And I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know Yah. And it came to pass.
Okay, that's it.
All right.
And this is basically saying, it's just showing how he is going to bring them into the covenant, and he's going to comfort them concerning that. And we already saw how he spoke these comforting words to his disciples. And he betrothed them unto him in righteousness, and in judgment, in loving kindness, and in mercies. He just said, greater love had no man than this, and lay his life down for his friends. So with that, we're going to go to let's see. Actually, we're going to go to Genesis chapter, actually, no, we're going to go to Exodus. Exodus chapter 1. Exodus chapter 1. No, so actually started in chapter 3 and verse 2.
says, and the angel of Yah appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burnt with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, while the bush is not burnt. And when Yah saw that he turned aside to see, Elohim called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither, but put off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is Kodesh ground. And moreover, he said, I am Elohim of thy father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon Elohim. And Yah said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reasons of their taskmasters. Yeah, I said it right. For I know their sorrows.
But I forget what it said. What he said he was. Matter of fact, I think that was Isaiah 53 when he was made acquainted with our griefs. And, you know, he was acquainted with our sorrows. He said, "For I know their sorrows." Okay, go down.
It says, and I have come down to deliver them out of the hands of the Egyptians.
Out of the hand of the Egyptians.
And
Egypt is a house of bondage.
Mm-hmm.
And to do what?
And to bring them out of the land
Bring them up out of that land.
Unto a good land and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites.
So we're going to go to something that's similar to this and see husband and a wife and how the wife's cry was being heard before Elohim in the same fashion. Go to 1 Samuel chapter 1. In verse 1. Start there at verse 1.
It says, now there was a certain man of Mesopotamia of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroboam, the son of Eliahum, I guess, the son of Tahu, the son of Zeph, and Amorite. Yeah. And he had two wives. The name of the one was Hannah, the name of the other was Peninnah. And Peninnah said children, but Hannah had no children. And this man went up out of the city yearly to worship and to sacrifice unto the Yah of hosts in Shiloh. And two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priest of Yah, were there. And when the time was that, and Hannah offered and gave Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah, but Yah had shut up her womb. And her adversary also provoked her sore.
See, look at that. Her adversary provoked her sore.
For to make her fret, because Yah had shut up her womb. And as he did, so year by year, when she went up to the house of Yah, so she provoked her, therefore she wept, and did not eat. Then said Elkanah, her husband, to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? Am not I better to thee than 10 sons?
So we see here her husband attempting to comfort her concerning the matter of her not having any children. Get me Isaiah 26. Isaiah 26. Yeshayahu chapter 26. verse 16.
It says, Yah, in trouble have they visited thee. They poured out a prayer when thou chasteneth was upon thee. Like as a woman with child, thou drawest near the time of her delivery, is in pain, and crieth out in her pains. So when we be in thy sight, O Yah, we have been with child, and we been in pain. We have as it were brought forth wind. We have not robbed any deliverance in the earth. Neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen.
So we look at this woman, she's being comforted by her husband concerning not having a child. And it's the same similitude of in trouble when we're crying and we have not brought any deliverance because we have not brought forth the only begotten Son, Yahushua, because he has come to deliver us from the bondage of sin and death. So let's go to John 16, verse 21. Actually, verse 20.
It says, truly, truly, I say unto you, that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice.
See, the world shall rejoice because the people of the world, children of the world, are naturally going to be enemies against the children of Elohim.
It says, and ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. For a woman, when she is in travail, have sorrow, but her hour is come. But as soon as she had delivered of the child, she remembers no more the anguish for joy that a man is born into the world. And when now therefore have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man taketh from you.
So therefore we see in this instance, they're also being comforted again concerning not having this child or being delivered by having this man-child. But soon as she is delivered of the child, she remember no more the anguish. It said, now you have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man take it from you. With that, I'm going to just conclude this reading. Hallelujah for Yahushua HaMashiach.
All right. Y'all all right on that? All right. Well, we appreciate Brother Pell. And here he come, Young Slim.
Captain Slimbody.
Yeah, Slim good body. Yeah, Slim good body. So he got a Mr. Good Boy with him. He ready to roll.
Oh, good.
Y'all, that nigga mean with it.
I ain't want to read no more notes. That's my head starting to hurt.
All right, man, go ahead, take off.
What we want to start off is what we touched on yesterday. A lot of stuff was coming to mind when I was going over the door with y'all, and it was a lot that I still wanted to cover that was coming to my mind. I needed you, Lil Stanley, to first get. I'm gonna get John chapter 10, Yehukanan chapter 10, and I want you to show them the Hebrew word for door, or the letter for door. They get an understanding.
So you're going to read it and then I'm going to show it?
Yeah, I'm reading to you. So we had John chapter 10, we're going to start at verse 6. That's what happened when you said it.
Open up the way.
So we're going to start at verse 6. This parable spoke Yahushua unto them, but they understood not the things that were which he spoke unto them. Then said Yahushua unto them, Truly, truly, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever become for me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out, and find a pasture. Now, like we spoke on, we're saying, the things that I speak or the things that he spoke, it was not easy for everybody to understand at that time period. Because just like what Corey had mentioned this morning, just imagine you standing there and you are literally talking about yourself to amongst your own people. So this whole book is about you, and you explaining this book that it's about you. It's hard for people to take in or receive stuff like that. So that'll be hard to understand. But when he tell them truly, truly, he's saying to you, he said he is the door. Now, little Stanley has pulled up the Hebrew letter Dalet, which means door or to enter. So when you think about the door, it should bring you back to what or who stood at the door, or what we had to do to come into that door, which was the door of the tabernacle. The door of the tabernacle represents the house. So for our sins to be put away, we would have to take blood and shed it at the door of the tabernacle so that we may even enter into that door, or such door. So we want to go into Shamut, or Exodus chapter 33. Now Stanley, what tribe did the Mashiach come from out of? Yehuda. He came from Yehuda, so we wanted to write that on the board. The word Yehuda, you can write it in English for him. You don't got to even do it in Hebrew. So while he doing that, we at Exodus 33, or Shamut 33. And we gonna start at verse 5. It says, "For Yahuwah said unto Musa, say unto the children of Yasharel, you are a stiff-necked people. I will come into the midst of thee in a moment and consume thee. Therefore now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee. And the children of Yasharel stripped themselves of their ornaments by the Mount Horeb." Now it's starting off saying that the children of Israel was a stiff-necked people. Meaning stiff-necked, we didn't obey, we were disobedient. And there was times to obey that we still remained stubborn to his word. Now we'll stand writing up here. What you'll see, this is the tribe of Yehuda. Now, let me take it over real quick. Okay, so this is the tribe of Yehuda. That's the chosen tribe that the Mashiach came from. So when you're looking at this part, that's the name of the Father. We find the name of the Father in the chosen tribe that Mashiach came from. Now we know, what's the Hebrew word Yehuda mean? Anybody, if y'all know what it means? It means, it means to be praised, or to praise, right? So Yehuda is the praise of Yah, meaning that out of Yehuda, praises shall be shown so we may praise Yah. If we look at this character right here, or this character right here, as we know, Hebrew is read from right to left, English is read from left to right. But the character that we are picking out is this D. If Yehuda means to praise Yah, the way to praise Yah is through the what?
Door.
The Dalet, or the door. You see what I'm saying? So if the Mashiach just said in Yehukanah chapter 10, I am the door, I am the door, you shall come through me. We know that to come through him, we would have to do what? Praise Yah. We have to praise Yah by showing forth the praises of who? His son. Now, anyone know what we did as forth as worship? How do we worship Elohim? What do we do to worship?
Obedience.
Okay, obedience. Anything else? What would you do if I wanted to say worship your Elohim right now? What was some type of work you would do?
Repent.
You would repent. So what takes place in that process of repentance?
Killing old man.
Killing a what? An animal.
Oh,
An animal or a sacrifice. So we know that as the Mashiach being from the tribe of Judah, what was the tribe that actually was over the sacrifices? Levi, the Levitical priest. So we know that he was from the tribe of Judah, but he rose as a priest and a king at the same time. We know that David came from what? Yehuda. You know that the Mashiach came from Yehuda, but he is the high priest over us not. So like he just said, if we come to this door, or you want to, how do we worship Yah or show forth the praises of Yah? we would do that to repent. We would do that through what? Sacrifices. So that's why I asked y'all, when y'all think about the door, what should be brought to the door? You know what I'm saying? What's going to be brought to the door is a sacrifice, an animal sacrifice. So when the animal sacrifice is brought to the door, that blood must be shed for us to enter the door and show forth our what? Our work or our service or our praise to Elohim, which is Yehuda, the praises of Yah. That's how it say, go you up into this mountain so my people shall worship me. That's obeying his her commandments and doing his sacrifices. Okay? So that's why we continue at Shammuk 33.
That's Barry, just
Oh, I thought he was asking me a question. I was like, I don't know, we ain't in the closet.
just keep on going.
All right, we at
I forgot about all that.
we at verse 6, right? Shammuk, Exodus 33. We at verse 6. And the children of Yasharal stripped themselves of their ornaments by the Mount Horeb. And Mushah took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp, afar off from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of the congregation. Now we just saw that the Mashiach is what? The high priest, right? So when he got sacrificed, where was he pitched at? If I remember, he went over this. He was pitched outside of the camp. So right here it says that and Mushah took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp or far off from the camp. So that tabernacle, or what's covering us, or that house, is pitched what? Without the camp. The Mashiach was pitched what? Without the camp. So it say that we don't worship, you know what I'm saying, a building with walls and stuff like that. It said we worship in spirit and in truth. Because the Mashiach is what? You know, he covers us. He is our earthly tabernacle, and he is a high priest in that tabernacle. Now you think about going inside that door of that tabernacle. Was everybody allowed inside of there? No. Only who? Only the high priest. That's Levi. So that means they were set apart. They were sanctified. They were separate from the rest of the tribes. It was the Mashiach from the tribe of Levi. He was from the tribe of Yehuda. But just like the prophecy had to be fulfilled, he had to become king and priest. So he was able to go into what? That tabernacle or that house. And the only way to enter into the door of that tabernacle, you must bring your sacrifice to what? To the door. You must bring your offering to the door. If any of us would have sinned right now in this time period, and this is the door, we would have brought forth our sacrifice to that door. And once we bring the sacrifice to that door, then the blood is shed. And after the blood is shed, you're purified and you're clean. You can enter and you can dwell amongst Yahuwah, like the ark. You couldn't come out of the ark unless you get killed because you was unclean. We were unclean. Only sanctified through the blood. So right here, verse 7, it say, we're back at verse 7. And Mushah took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp or far off from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of the congregation. And it came to pass that everyone which sought Yahuwah went out into the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp. And it came to pass when Mushah went out into the tabernacle that all the people rose up and stood every man at his door and looked after Mushah until he was gone into the tabernacle. So every man is standing where? At the door. Every man standing at the door of his own what? Of his own tent. Now we went over last night when we was going over how did Egypt come up out of bondage. They put the blood on the door. So at that time they wasn't entering the door, they was what? Exiting. They was exiting to go out to the wilderness. But this time we gotta what? We gotta come in that door. You see what I'm saying? That's why when they say all the people rose up, they still standing at every man that tended his door. Verse 9. And it came to pass as Mushah entered into the tabernacle, the cloudy pillar descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle, and Yahuwah talked with Mushah. So when Mushah stood at the door of the tabernacle, it said something appeared. Which what? A cloud. Right? So a cloud had appeared over the door of the tabernacle. So when you look at that, let's go to Matthew chapter 27. Matthew chapter 27. We're going to start at verse 45. Matthew chapter 27, verse 45. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness all over the land until the 9th hour. So this is a time period of Mashiach is what? He up there on the state, and the darkness had came over the land. Or a cloud had done came over the land, right? So right now he's standing, every man at his tent door, looking upon what? That main door, that door that's standing right there, right? So let's go back to Exodus 33. Now we're going to go to verse 10. Exodus 33 is Shammut 33 verse 10. And all the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle door, and all the people rose up and worshiped, every man in his tent door. And Yahuwah spoke unto Mashah face to face as a man speaking unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp, but his servant Yahusha, son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. So just like what Corey went over, if we become a servant of the Mashiach, we are counted as what? As his friend. So the father was speaking to Moses as if that was his friend. Why? Because he was a servant to Yahuwah. That's another thing going on what he's saying. But right here, who is left inside of the tabernacle in verse 11? It says, and his servant Yahusha, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. So when the Mashiach rose on high, did he come back out of the tabernacle? Who as a nation of people of Israel, we always need a what? A high priest.
Yep.
So if we don't have a high priest, we can't do no sacrifices for our sins. So the Mashiach is our high priest that abideth what? Continually. Therefore, when Musha, it say, and he turned again into the camp. So Musha went out the door, he went back to the camp. But it say, Yahusha, son of Nun, he departed not out of the tabernacle. So his name is Yahusha, the same thing as salvation. The Mashiach cannot depart out of the tabernacle now because he's still that high priest. He must do sacrifices continually for us as the people of Yasharah. So, back to verse 10. And the people saw the cloudy pillar stand up at the tabernacle door, and all the people rose up and worshiped, every man in his tent door. So we're going to look at that cloud. Let's go to Bereshit, Genesis chapter 9. And Bereshit, Genesis chapter 9. So we have Bereshit, Genesis chapter 9. And we're going to start at verse 13. We want y'all to hold Shammut of Exodus 13. So we had Bereshit, Genesis 9, verse 13. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of the covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud of the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. The bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living thing creature that is upon this earth. So the Mashiach, the Father, has placed a what? A bow in the cloud. So right at that time, in that 9th hour, where it say the darkness hadn't came over the Mashiach, he still has to be what? That bow in the cloud. So if he's that burning furnace of that lamp, you know that even though it was dark, he still had to shine bright. But that bow in the cloud had to stay in the cloud and say every man at his tent door would stand and look at that cloud over the congregation, over the tabernacle. All right, so the next thing we're going to is what he had was Shammut 13. And you can start that at the top. Exodus 13. Matter of fact, hold up. One second.
Are you going outside? You don't need the tank.
He got older people. He said, if you ain't going outside, you don't need no jacket. 1 second, y'all. One second. Okay, so let's go to 14. let's go to verse 12. So, Stanley gonna get Exodus 14, verse 12.
All right. Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Mizraim, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Elohim, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever.
All right, so hold that. So at verse 12, it say, it shall have been better for us to serve the Mizraim of the Egyptians. So we already went over this. We know that the Egyptians had the children of Israel in what? In bondage. And that bondage represents sin. So when they want to go back and be servants of bondage, that means they really in their heart they want to go back and be servants of what? Servants of sin. So it say that it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than we should die in the wilderness. So that wilderness is representation of what as well? Sin. So it say we might as well be servants of sin than to come out of being servants and still die in sin. You see what I'm saying? Even if I want to be a servant of sin, they looking at this situation as in, okay, we out in the wilderness, but no one to help feed us, protect us, guide us. Therefore, I should go back into what? I might as well be up under a servant of sin. I might as well go serve the enemy at this point. So right here, verse 13, it says, Mushah said unto the people, fear not and stand still and see the salvation of Yahuwah, which he will show you this day. For the Mizraim, whom you have seen this day, you shall see them again no more and forever. So we just sat back and we looked at that bow in the cloud. When we looked at that bow in the cloud, we saw that was what? A covenant that he made the earth for what? Forever. That represents what? Salvation of all flesh. You see what I'm saying? So that bow in the cloud had to always be there. Or that cloud had to always be over that protection, because that's what the cloud represents. That's why when Moses came out there, he stood, what came in front of him was what? The cloud. You know what I'm saying? Just like we went to Matthew 27, what came over that darkness? What? A cloud. Then you see that he placed a bow in the clouds. So we are continually looking up, looking towards our salvation, waiting upon that salvation, because we covered. As long as we not in sin and we returning into him, and we coming and aiming to walk into that door, we're going to be covered at the door by the cloud. So we at verse 14, it say, hit on verse 14.
The Elohim shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your shalom. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Yasharah that they go forward.
All right, right here it say in verse 14, it say, Yahuwah shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace or your shalom. So when the Mashiach's about to get took, what did Peter do? He pulled out that sword and he struck that man. He struck that servant. And what did Mashiach say? Hold up, man. You don't need to fight. You know what I'm saying? If I need you to fight, I can have legions of angels come down right now, anybody who touched me. So right here, verse 14, what Moses telling them? He said, Yahuwah telling Moses and us. They say, oh, nah, y'all stand back, hold your peace. I'm going to fight for you.
Yes, sir.
So the Mashiach had to stand there and say, hey, hold back, hold your peace, Peter. You know what I'm saying? I fight. We fight. So we know that in that cloud, in heaven, there's actually called a host. You know how when it say Lord of hosts in the script? It say Lord of hosts, Lord of hosts. We know that's what? Yahuwah Sabaoth, or Yahuwah of hosts. So those hosts are those heavenly hosts, those armies that are in heaven. So that's what the Mashiach was referring to when he said, hey, you don't got to do nothing. If I needed something to go down, I got the hosts of the Sabaoth that'll come down at any time and work for me or fight for me. So in verse 14, where it say, Yahuwah shall fight for you, he said, you shall hold your peace. Verse 15 says, Yahuwah said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me, speaking to the children of Yasharel, that they go forward. So he said, why you crying out to me? Just like when over yesterday, who the Mashiach cried out to? He cried out to Yah. So Yah just asked Moses, why you crying out to me? You need to go tell them the same word I told you. So when the Mashiach cried out, yeah, he cried out, but he came back to his disciples and his brothers, and he revealed unto them the word. It was all about who? Him. So he gonna cry out, but he still went out and told them word, report a message back to us. You see what I'm saying? You seeing how it's going. That verse, hit him at verse 16.
16. But lift thou up thy rod and stretch out thy hand over the sea, and divide it, And the children of Yasharal shall go on dry ground, though the midst of the sea. And I, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Mizrahims, and they shall follow them. And I will get my honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his hosts, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Mizrahims shall know that I am Yahuwah, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of Elohim, which went before the camp of Yasharal, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them.
Okay, so where did the cloud just go? Verse 19 it say that, and the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood what? Behind them. So at this point, we facing the Red Sea. So you supposed to follow that cloud. That cloud is your direction to that door. The cloud removed itself from in front of us and went behind us, because who chasing us? The Egyptians. They want to chase us. They trying to get vengeance back on us for what we just did to them. So when they chasing us, that cloud had removed what? And went behind us. So just like you say, stand back. Don't do nothing. I'm going to fight for you. Right? So watch this. So, continue.
And stood behind them. Verse 20. And it came between the camp and the Mizrahims and the camp of Yasharal. And it was a cloud and darkness to them. But it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night.
All right, right there. So it was a cloud and darkness to them. So the cloud is what? It's a dark cloud. So that dark cloud that came over the Mashiach, it say right here that the cloud gave light by night. So when it was light by night, when the Mashiach was up there, it was still, it was light by night here by that cloud covering the camp. It was light by night with the Mashiach because he is the light. So when it was darkness, it was still light by night. And then it say that no one came near to the other all the night. So that means you can see. Meaning that in that darkness, he still give you a light to see in that cloud. All right, verse 21.
And Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea. And the Elohim caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land. And the waters were divided. And the children of Yasharal went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground. And the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left hand. And the Mizrahims pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning which the Elohim looked unto the host of the Mizrahims through the pillar of fire and of cloud, that troubled the host of the Mizrahims, and took off their chariot wheels, and they drave them heavily, so that the Mizrahims said, Let us flee from the face of Yasharal, for Yahuwah fighteth for them against the Mizrahims. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, Stretch out thy hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Mizrahims, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Moshe stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength. And when the morning appeared, and the Mizrahims fled against it, the Elohim overthrew the Mizrahims in the midst of the sea.
Okay. So right here, we looking at calamity has brought forth, or like he say, stand back and fight. He just fought for him. He just stood for us in a time of calamity. So when the Mashiach rose on high and he gave up the ghost, or he gave up the Ruach, what happened? What happened to that temple? If y'all remember. Or what happened to the earth? It was an earthquake. So it was a great earthquake. So you know when an earthquake is calamity or it's shaking. So after he gave up his Ruach, after the Mashiach, or after the Moses let the water come down or give forth for that water, next thing you know, they became collapsed as well. So calamity is brought on those. I want to show y'all something else. Get Shamu or Exodus chapter 21. Like Brother Pell touched on earlier, it say, I shall give her a door of hope. He said, I would allure her into the wilderness and give her a door of hope. So who is that her is referring to?
Yasharal.
That's referring to Yasharal, that's referring to us. So he said he's going to give us a door of hope in that wilderness. He is that door of hope. So we had Shamu 22. 22? 21. We had 21.
All right.
let's start at verse 2 so we get an understanding of everything's going on.
If thou buy a Abarim servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself.
Okay. So far right now we talk about a Hebrew servant. So that's us buying a servant of our own people. It's telling you the law on how we should treat that servant, what should we do to that servant. If the servant want to serve for 6 years, it say you shall let him go in the 7th year. Now, in America, it was stuff called indentured servants. Y'all heard of an indentured servant? That's when it was actually white slaves at the period of time. Before they started bringing black slaves over here, they was bringing white slaves over here, or their own people, and they'll work for a period of 6 years, 7 years, maybe 14 years, and they was sent free to work in the country like that. And that was called an indentured servant. People to look at that and say, okay, how was they free after those such and such years? We got to look at, that's law. You know what I'm saying? Not even though that wasn't our people, that stuff, this is a custom of your own people. If you have somebody your own people, you're not going to keep them in a bondage to you. You want to actually release them and help them come out with a great substance just for the servitude they gave it to you. So as us being the servants of the Mashiach, if we serve him, we want to be what? Blessed too. And he said, just like what Corey just went over, a servant shall also be accounted as a friend. All right? So, continue.
Verse 5.
Verse 5.
And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or onto the doorpost.
Okay, right here. So it's saying that if a servant, after his 6 years, the master say, hey, you can go free. You done served me your 6 years, you can go free. He telling them if after them 6 years and that 7th year come, he want to be free, the servant has an opportunity to say, okay, I love my master. I love serving you. I don't see myself doing nothing else but to serve you. So therefore, I want to continue to serve you. So what that person must do is bring that Hebrew servant to the door, into the doorpost, and then he must take that servant and knock him in his ear through that doorpost. This is a part of the law. Now, it was something else come to my mind I want to take y'all to.
Knock him in the ear.
But we're going to continue. Keep reading. We have verse 5. No. 6.
Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the doorpost. And his master shall bore his ear, though within all. And he shall serve him forever.
Okay, right here. So, after... We know that the earth was created in, what, 7 days. So we know that them 6 years was just basically a completion. You done serve your master, let's say, all week. We done work, and then on the 7th day, we up here observing the Shabbat. So now we showing our master that what? Even though we work for him throughout these 6 days, we still love him because we still coming to serve him on that 7th day. We don't just serve him for 6 days, on that 7th day we throw it out. So at the same time, you can look at it like that. When he's saying he loved his master, and he come to serve him on that 7th day, on that 7th year, that's the Mashiach choosing those who know he finna serve him. Because he said, I am the what? I am the door. So he'll take their ear and he'll put an awl through their ear, or earring through their ear, onto that what? Onto that doorpost. What would y'all think that represents?
Peter? I thought I was talking about Peter when he sliced off.
Yeah, you can look. I mean, Peter did slice off a man.
And I know Hebrew was Peter was a servant. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, what you're looking at is your ear being circumcised, just like in Isaiah. Let's go to Yashayahu, Isaiah chapter 6. Isaiah chapter 6, and we're going to go at verse 9. Yashayahu 6, verse 9.
And he said, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not.
Okay, so it say this people that he prophesying to, they understand not and they perceive not. So everything that's being brought forth to them, they can't even understand. So we go forth and try to bring these people this information or teach them and show them anything, they're not going to be able to what? Hear or receive. It say these people understand not and these people hear not. See not. Seeing what? That's I-N. Say the word for us. Yeah, So continue.
10. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed.
Okay, so back to that servant. If you a master and you give your servant a command, that command can either be received easily or received rough. So over 6 years, that command is rough, and that 7 years, you're going to be ready to buck. You're not going to say, oh, I want an earring, and you know what I'm saying, hit me on the doorpost. And you're not going to be ready to be converted. Your heart not going to show that you love this man. But if, with let's say, the master giving forth a commandment, and you taking every commandment, and you actually love the commandment. That's why I say, my commandments are not what? Grievous. For this is the love of Elohim, that we keep his commandments, and commandments are not what? Grievous. So that's our master, we the servant. That means those words going to be nice and loving to us, meaning that when that 7 year come, we're going to be ready to be converted and our hearts be healed. But at this time, when he's speaking to these people, he say, unless they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart and convert and be healed. If they don't, it say, hear with their ears. So a part of being a servant is what? Hearing. That's why when that ear was struck to the doorpost, he had to have his ear what? Uncircumcised. Your heart must be circumcised. His ear was uncircumcised. His ear got circumcised in that 7 year. Your heart must be circumcised. Your flesh must be circumcised. And your ear must be circumcised. You can hear and actually understand what's going on. So just so, go to Matthew chapter 13.
Matthew, right?
Yeah, Matthew, my bad. Matthew chapter 13. Matthew chapter 13. We're going to start at verse 14.
And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Yashayahu, which said, by hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they shall see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I shall heal them.
So a part of conversion is hearing with your ears, seeing with your eyes, and understanding with your heart. That's why when the servant, of course, in his heart, he loved this man because of that 7 years he wanted to stay with him. Of course, he's seeing what this man doing for him because he's seeing the blessing. He's seeing the reason why I should stay with him. And then for final, when his ears get circumcised at that doorpost, he's able to hear with an uncircumcised ear for us to receive commands. If your ear is not circumcised, all of these commands in this book not going to mean nothing unto you. Because if you can't even hear it, you're not going to be able to be converted. You're not going to be able to hear, be healed and understand it. Faith comes from hearing, and hearing comes from understanding. So we going to Jeremiah chapter 34. Yehu chapter 34. Jeremiah Yehu chapter 34.
It means Yah's exalted.
We're going to start at verse 13. Yehu, Jeremiah 34, verse 13.
Thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, I made a covenant with your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of bondmen, saying, at the end of 7 years, let ye go every man his brother a Abarim, which have been sold unto thee. And when he has served these 6 years, thou shalt let him go free from thee. But your fathers hearken not unto me, neither incline their ear.
Okay, so right here, he said, when I came up out of Egypt, or we came up out of Egypt, and he brought us up out of bondage, it said the commandment that he gave us was of the what? The Hebrew servant. Right now he going off because he trying to show them the reason he gave them that commandment of the Hebrew servant. It say right here that when he have served these 6 years, you shall let him go free from thee, but your fathers hearken not unto me. So he referring to us as who? The servant. And he referring to himself as who? The master. So he say, your fathers have not hearkened unto me, neither inclined what? Their ear. So at the end of those 7 years, he know what happened to that ear. That ear got to be what? Circumcised. So he's showing them, I was giving you this commandment so that your ear can be circumcised, so that you may be able to hear me. Right? So then, verse 15.
And ye were now turned and had done right in my sight, and proclaiming liberty every man to his neighbor. And ye have made a covenant before me in the house which is called by my name, but ye turned and polluted my name, and caused every man his servant, and every man his handmaid, whom ye had set a liberty at their pleasure, to return, and brought them into subjection to be unto you for servants and for handmaids.
Okay, so we see a different type of servant in this situation. These people who have turned away from Yah, they gathered their own servants and their own handmaids who was doing what? Wickedness. That's when we were just looking at, when they first came out, they say, oh, it's better we just go back and serve the Egyptians. So you can serve a master who is good, you can serve a master who is bad. But why would you do that when this master is giving you what you need as a people? This master made a covenant with you, like Pelter went over. This master actually married you. This master became your husband. You became that master's wife. You know what I'm saying? So when we go into that, you see the hurt of what he experiencing right here. And why the Mashiach came in Matthew 13 and repeated exactly word for word what Yashayahu Isaiah just said in chapter 6. It say, if you understand with your heart, hear with your ears, you shall be healed. He didn't. He said the same exact thing word for word because that was for them to receive what he was saying, him being their door, speaking to them right in their face. Imagine if the door walked up to you. You didn't walk up to the door walked to you and told him that he was the door. You know what I'm saying? You would have to have a circumcised ear, circumcised heart, and be able to see and understand and receive that type of information. We don't have it right now to see him face to face like we see each other today, but we still got to have that same faith, that same belief of that he is that door, and if we follow him. So that basically was about it. The last one I was going to do was that Hosea 2 with luring us into the wilderness, the valley of Achor. But he touched on that. But that basically ties into generally. Let's thank y'all.
Y'all can stay right there. Someone take that long. You push that chair up. Push that table up. You would be one of those. You would be one of those. Yeah. Well, they did. How y'all felt? They did all right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna try to tie it all in on some of this stuff when we get up out of here. You know, we go to 1 Samuel 20. It was something that he read in that, right? The first thing we're gonna look at is he was talking about them 5 stones too, right? Matter of fact, before we even get to that, 1 Samuel chapter 20, he mentioned them 5 stones David had in his shepherd's bag.
Yeah, I see.
You know what I'm saying? I want you to get Exodus chapter 28 and about verse 33. We're going to try to hit boom, boom, boom. I don't need that right there. And I got to be quick. Go sit down, my pipe.
I'm getting.
I'll let you know in a moment. 28 and 33. Go ahead, sir. Make it 30. 28 and 30. Exodus 28 and 30. Come on.
And thou shalt, Exodus 28:30, shall move 28:30. Thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall the Thummim.
Y'all know what that is? Y'all know what the Urim and the Thummim is? That was something that the priests used. They used that to get a particular answer from the Most High when they had a question. You know, the Urim, it means lights. And you know what a light will cause you to do? See? So get me John chapter 3 and about verse 19. This would turn into this. To see and to watch. Because the Urim would to give you light. Light illuminates an area. Mashiach said, I am the light of the world. He said, any man who walk in that light will not stumble, for he will see where he is going. He said, he that walk not in the light is in darkness, and he know not where he go. So when we look at the Urim would be symbolic to the word, because the word would give light, would lighten a man's eyes and open his eyes, so he would be able to do what the Mashiach told you to do, which was to watch. Come on. 3 and 19.
And this is the condemnation that light is come into the world. And man loved darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that does evil hates the light, neither come to the light, lest his deeds shall be reproved. But he that does truth come to the light, that his deeds may be manifest, that they are wrought in Elohim.
So when we turn around and look at it, you see like when Saul is made blind, or even when the Mashiach anoints the eyes of the blind man in the 9th chapter of John, and he allows him to see. And when he said, do you believe on the Son of the Most High? And he said, who is him? He said, you hear and see him at this time. So when we look at the Urim being something putting in the breastplate of judgment, because he said this is where the high priest should put in the breastplate of judgment. And where would you wear the breastplate over? You would wear it over your heart. Now we know from Ephesians chapter 6, right? We're going to get Ephesians chapter 6 down and about verse 12. You got to roll it, and go and go and go.
Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world.
I'm going to tell you, the only time we actually wrestle against flesh and blood is when you're wrestling with your own flesh. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no business fighting and wrestling with other people, because you got spiritual wickedness all through this place. Like I told y'all last night, I seen a story where a white woman sitting in a room giving 10 reasons to have sex with a dog. You know what I'm talking about? You got these people around here coming up with all this stuff that, you just had that incident in California, these people shooting up all these people. First thing they come up with talking about they ISIS, they were fighting for them people and make people believe that there. That's spiritual wickedness going on. Because these people got an objective and an agenda that they're trying to push that has absolutely nothing to do with terrorism and safety. It has more to do with spiritualism and things that they're trying to impart on the people. You sit back and you see sodomites on your television daily. You know what I'm saying? So we have to sit back and look at, just like you say, principalities, which is rulerships and government. That's who we fighting with. We fighting with the corrupt policies and the things that they set in place. And somebody has to stand out in there and speak against these things. So you ain't got no business fighting with no man, arguing with no man. For what? The only person you need to be fighting and arguing with is your own flesh to keep it in subjection to the word. It can be real easy to lose control of it. Come on.
Against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahuwah, that you may be able to withstand to the evil day.
Ain't that something? Because that's what that breastplate of judgment would be for. That's armor, ain't it, right? On the breastplate, protect your body. Didn't he already read about David had the breastplate on? He said, I need to take it off. I ain't proved it yet. Same thing in Mashiach say, let me put off this armor that I had on and let me take on the seed of Abraham, because I ain't proved this yet. So I can take it back and put it back on. That's why he did that. You got to remember, he read Proverbs 8 last night. He said he was in the beginning, right? So if he was in the beginning, that means he had the armor on. Because he was already made. He said, I was one by him, like one brought up with him. I was his fellow. So he said, you know what? I need to put that off. I ain't proved it yet. Let me come down here as a man, make sure I prove it yet, so I can stand up against this giant and slay him. Come on.
And having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth.
See that they say loins girded about with truth. You already read that. Then David said, boy, I got y'all with me. I'm girded. Come on.
And having on the breastplate of righteousness.
He said, why you say the breastplate of righteousness instead of wearing that breastplate of armor? He said, I'll take it off because it's in my heart. Come on.
And your feet shod with the preparation.
With the preparation.
I be getting tongue tied. Of the gospel of peace.
See, he had that. Like he said, we're going to be peace for Yasharah. I don't see it's going to be no peace for you. Uncircumcised Philistine, defying the armies of Elohim. It's going to be your day today. Come on.
Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all
That's why he was able to put the shield down. I ain't need that shield right then.
Wherefore ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts.
And what was Goliath doing? Talking greasy, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. He was selling out, wasn't it? Quick. And what did David do?
And take the helmet of salvation.
He put the helmet off too, because I already believe I don't need it on.
And the sword of the Ruach.
And I even put him sword down, hit this nigga in the head with a stone.
Which is the word of Yahuwah.
That's what he hit him with. He hit him with them stones. Why we know he hit him with the stone, hit him with the word, and what was the word written on like we talked about last time? Why you think he picked up? And you know what's in that Urim and Thummim? You know what they mean? They stones. They stones. You know what thumbing mean? It mean perfection. So they would go to seat back and see to get light. They sit back and inquire to Urim and Thummim because we need light, because we need this light so we can be made perfect. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we sitting back looking at. That's our objective and that's our goal. No matter what we dealing with, no matter what we facing, whatever the case may be, is to be illuminated so you can see. So you can see. So you can end up being made the noon. Because when you made the noon, that means you the seed of the perfect. When you the seed of the perfect one, that means you attain life. And when you attain life, that means you would have been undone the work. And what is the work? The work of, hold on, I'll tell you what the work is. Give me Eucharist chapter 6, verse 27. Make it 24. John 6 and 24. We look at what the work is. And when you've been done made the work, that's because you've been done took the mark. Because you would have went on the stake. And you would have went on the stake because the stake was a sign. I was talking to a brother about this. I got to be quick. I was talking to Brother Trav about some of this stuff before I even early this moment, so I got to be quick. Come on, young man. 6 and 24. Make it 23.
Eucharist 6, 23. Says that
Go ahead.
If a man on the Sabbath day receives circumcision, that the law of Mushah should not be broken.
Go ahead to 25.
Verse 25. Then said some of them of Jerusalem, is not this he whom they seek to kill? But lo, he speaketh boldly, and they say nothing unto him.
See, that's what they spoke boldly, just like David did too. Spoke boldly to him. Always speak boldly because of the faith that you possess. You know what I'm saying? That's why the Apostle Paul quoted Telahim 1:16 when he was like, I believe, therefore I have spoken. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be, you know what it means to speak boldly? It just means to speak with confidence. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Do the rulers know indeed that this is the very Hamashiach? Howbeit, we know this man whence he is. But when Hamashiach come, no man know whence he is.
You see the whole thing here? They say when the Mashiach come, we'll know when. He said, we won't know where he come from. He said, but we know where he come from. But you know, that's actually an actuality. They didn't really understand. They didn't really know. You know what I'm saying? Because the book was telling you where Mashiach was coming from. Come on.
Then cried Yahushua in the temple as he taught, saying, Ye both know me, and you know whence I am, and I am not come of myself.
He said, I didn't come on my own.
But he that sent me is true, whom you know not.
You don't know him.
But I know him, for I am from him, and he hath sent me.
Go ahead.
Then they sought to take him, but no man laid hands on him, because this hour was not yet to come.
Come on.
And many of the people believed on him and said, When the Mashiach come, will he do more miracles than these?
They said, we gonna see anything greater than what that man been doing. Come on.
The Pharisees heard that the people murmured such things concerning him, and the Pharisees and the chief priests sent officers to take him. Then said Yahushua unto them, Yet a little while I'm with you, and then I go unto him that sent me.
You can't be in 6 and 27. You can't be in chapter 6.
We at 27.
What chapter you in?
I was at the verse 33.
Yeah,
It said 27. It say, Howbeit we know this whence he is, when Hamashiach
we
comes.
looking for that there, James. That man's supposed to say, man, we want to do the work. All he. Yeah. What you
You're not in.
You're not in John 6 and 27, sir.
He was in 17.
I know it's not.
We were wondering.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know. 6 and 25.
Definitely in 7.
23.
The pages was stuck. The pages.
Okay, it's all right.
Definitely not in 7.
That too.
6 and 23.
It say, Labor not for the meat which perisheth,
Give me
but for
23.
that 23. 6 and 23. Howbeit there came other boats from Tiberias nigh unto the place where they did eat bread. After that Yahuwah had given them thanks. When the people therefore saw that Yahushua was not there, neither his disciples, they also took shipping and came to Capernaum seeking for Yahushua. And when they had found him on the other side of the sea, they said unto him, Master, when camest thou hither? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Truly, truly, I say unto you, you seek me not because you saw the miracles, but because you did eat of the loaves and were filled.
That's the only thing they were seeking Yah for in the wilderness. They ain't seeking because of what he did to get him out of Mizraim. They were seeking him because he had some manna and some quails. That's all they wanted. Come on.
Labor not for the meat which perisheth, but for the meat that which endureth unto everlasting.
Ain't that something that the Most High told them? He say, man, look here, man. You walked in this wilderness, I gave you manna. Your clothes didn't wax old. He say, man, look here, man. Man don't live by bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of Elohim. You know what I'm saying? That's what he told them. That's that word. Yeah. That's what he told him. That's what he told him. He had to come back around and tell them the same thing. You seen all these miracles, but he said the only reason why you came around here for because you were hungry. Come on.
Labor not for the meat which perisheth,
So don't work for that.
but for the meat which endureth
Don't yard for that.
unto everlasting life.
That's what you ought to work for. Give me Hebrews 4 and 7. That's what you ought to work for. The meat that endure to everlasting life. That's what you ought to work for. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be some hiccups along the way. You might stumble, scrape your knee. You're going to have to go and put some healing ointment on that there, man, to keep on going. You know what I'm saying? Because as I'm going to put it to you this way, man, as long as the man don't turn your mind reprobate, you still got a chance. Turning your mind reprobate is you worthless. You ain't got no desire. You're going backwards and not forwards. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to sit back and tell you, man, the man say you don't even want to have your garment stained by the flesh. That's how you got to do it. You know what I'm saying? At this point in time, everybody's got to sit back and recalibrate. You know what I'm saying? Get your compass back on right. Get your focus back on right. I know I was talking to you the other day. She said she felt like she wasn't as hungry as she was before. And you know what? It can be like that sometimes. It happens. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? You have to sit back and think like if you were hustling and you felt like you were getting too comfortable, you need to sit back and think about the day when you were sleeping in that shack.
Yes, sir.
Pushing that bucket. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it happens with everybody. You know, I don't condone the 48 laws of power, but in the 48 laws of power talk about reinventing yourself. Because sometimes you can lose yourself. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to lose yourself. You know, I done sat before y'all all the time. I might have went in a lot of stuff. Y'all might have felt like I knew a lot of things, but I sit back and tell you though, boy, I'm still a man. I ain't nobody special, ain't nothing great. And every last one of us got to fight every single day. And if you lose a fight, you better dust yourself off and go back out there and fight some more. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no sense of laying down. You know who lay down? Cowards. So we can't be no cowards. Come on.
Hebrews 4 and 7. Again, he limited certain days, saying to Dawid, today after so long a time, as it is said, today if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts. For Yahusha had given them rest. Then would he not afterward have spoken of another day? Therefore remain therefore a rest to the people of Yahuwah, for he that is entered into his rest, he also has ceased from his own works, as Yahuwah did from his.
You sit back there? So now we got to take on the setback that our work can no longer be the work of our own, as what he already mentioned. See, like when he mentioned, that's why we don't wear earrings, because we ain't no slave. You know what I'm saying? You know, in Ephesians 3 and 1, Paul talked about himself being a prisoner of Yahushua HaMashiach, or his slave. You know what I'm saying? Now, why would he be able to be a slave is what he already referenced, because he said, I will allow you to see that just one and to hear his voice. Remember, he said, my sheep hear my voice. But the only way his sheep will hear his voice, well, what are sheep? Sheep belong to shepherds. Shepherds are the masters of the sheep, or lead them and guide them about. For intents and purposes, those sheep would be servants. So we know in Jeremiah about 6 and about 10, he says their ears uncircumcised. The word of Yahuwah, they have no delight in it when they hear it. The reason why they don't have a delight in it because they don't have a desire to serve. You know what I'm saying? Most people don't have a desire to serve. It's much easier. That's why he says, whoever you yield your member service to is to whom you obey. He said, whether righteousness unto life or sin unto death. Most people would rather do that. That's why Stephen told him, he said, your hearts and ears are uncircumcised just like your father. He said, you resist the Ruach HaKodesh just like they do, because they resist the word. We have to sit back and look at, we don't want to resist the word. You know what I'm saying? You got to ask yourself, do you have a delight in it? And we know who name mean delight. Naomi. You know what I'm saying? So when we hear the word, are we Naomi? Do we have a delight? Is it a rejoicing to our heart to hear it? Do you have an anticipation to hear it? Are you ready to hear it? You know what I'm saying? Or do you just hear it, or you just doing it because it's just something to do? It's just something to pass time until you just like them stones where that seed fell at, and then it get choked off because you only was going to abide for a period of time, and then you going to stop. You know what I'm saying? I done had people ask me, you going to stop? Stop for what? I'm going to just keep on going, man. That man say, he that endured to the end, he shall be saved. That means I got to keep on going. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never quit nothing in my life. Ain't no sense of starting now. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no sense of starting now. Guess what? It could have been a whole bunch of people on the bus and they went to jumping off the bus. I'm going to still ride on it though. That's how we had to sit and look at it. The reason being, because We had to watch. And when we watched, because we were able to see, and the only reason why we were able to see because we heard the word and it enlightened our eyes. And since we heard the word and it would enlighten our eyes, it caused us to be able to say that I want to work. And the reason why we were able to want to work is because we seen the sign of what was mentioned when we was able to see because we heard the word, and then we were able to be born of that right to see and get life. That's what we have. What I got you holding in, man? We got to get out of here. Get that 1 Samuel chapter 20 though. It don't matter which one you get. You had that Exodus 28, so you get that. I want to finish Exodus 28 part of it. Get that 1 Samuel chapter 20. Now, Troy, you go back to where you was at. The verse that I want in 1 Samuel chapter 20 actually serves is about verse 29.
You said 28 or 20?
27. 1 Samuel 20:27. He's still holding Exodus chapter 28 about verse 30.
1 Samuel 20:27. And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, wherefore come not the son of Jesse to me, neither yesterday nor today?
And that's something that they came to Mashiach's place and it was empty.
And Jonathan answered Saul that we earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. And he said, let me go, I pray thee, for our family have a sacrifice in the city. And my brother he have commanded me to be there. And now if I have found favor in thy eyes, let me get away, I pray thee, and see my brethren. Therefore he come not unto the king's table.
Yes, sir.
Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan.
He was mad. Why?
And he said unto him, thou son of the
Of the what?
perverse, rebellious woman,
Oh, boy.
do not. I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thy own confusion and unto the confusion of thy mother's nakedness.
You see that? They say to the confusion of your mother's nakedness. Y'all know what this is actually talking about? Why would he call Jonathan? Who know what Jonathan's name means, first and foremost? Any of y'all brothers know what that means? He called this man, say, the gift of Yah. You child, you seed of a perverse and rebellious woman. And you've been put to confusion because of your mother's nakedness. We turn around and sit back and look at that. Mashiach was born of Yasharal, which he already read that this is a stiff-necked people, a perverse people, a rebellious woman, like we read last night, right? I raised up children and they rebelled against us. This was a rebellious woman, all because of Eve's nakedness. Because she rebelled from the jump. Didn't she though? Wasn't she naked? Tried to get a covering for it. That's why he came at Jonathan like this here, you old perverse man. Then they come at Mashiach like that and say he was perverse. He said, you've been put to shame because of the confusion of your mother's nakedness. Remember when he came to die? He said, boy, I ain't really with this right now. All of this here because of your mother's nakedness. And this is going back to them stones being delivered out. You just stay right there. Go and read that Exodus 28:30 where you at.
He said, thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment, the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before Yahuwah.
Ain't that something? That light and perfection was upon the Mashiach's heart. He had to have this on him before he go in front of the Most High. And you sit back and look at it, he had light because his body was changed. You know what I'm saying? There's no condemnation that those that walk in Yahushua HaMashiach. Because what couldn't be fulfilled through the law, he fulfilled it, that through the righteousness of the law, the whole law might be fulfilled. He condemned sinful flesh in the flesh. So because he had undid this here, y'all didn't realize he went into the high place with the Urim and the Thummim. He came with light and perfection. He had to have that with him. He said, thy law is within my heart to do thy will, O my Elohim. He had to come in like that. Come on.
And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Yashrael upon his heart before Yahuwah continually. And thou shalt make the rule of the ephod.
Well, ain't that something that in Hebrews 7 he say he stand, because y'all already talked about that. That the man stand before the man to be continually to make sacrifices, right? So you sit back and see he's fulfilling every aspect of the law. It's very important. Give me John 5:39. It's no, that's not John 5:39. It's John 7:37.
Yucatan 7:37.
It was something that he mentioned, right? About that circumcising of the ear, right? Listen to it.
In the last day, that great day, in the feast, Yahushua stood and cried.
On the last what day of the feast?
That great day of
What
the
feast is it?
Jesus Tabernacle.
So what day is it?
The 8th day.
And what happened on the 8th day?
They all came forth.
What you do on the 8th day?
Circumcision.
You circumcise. Come on.
And Yahushua stood and cried,
saying, if any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. He that believe on
He
me,
that what?
he that believeth on me,
That mean they would have to hear this, wouldn't it? Come on.
as the scripture have said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water.
Go ahead.
This he spake of the Ruach, which they that believe on him should receive, for the Ruach HaKodesh was not yet given, because that Yahusha was not yet esteemed.
Hold on, Stanley, give me John 8 about verse 24. We're ready to wrap it up right there. Ain't that funny, like when they were in the wilderness, right? Wasn't they hearing the word? What happened to them?
There was murmuring and complaining.
A lot of them got killed. And if they died in the wilderness, where did they die at?
Sin.
Read that John 8 and 24.
I said therefore unto you that you shall die in your sins. For if ye believe not that I am he, ye shall die in your sins.
Don't you realize, Troy, give me Numbers 13 and about 17. Don't you realize when they went in the wilderness, they died and they sinned because they did not believe that he was Yahuwah? Same thing. Why the man come back through this? See, it's all just coming on in. See, the thing that coming on in, like Brother Cord started with being a servant and being a friend. And when you sit back and look at Abraham was a servant, therefore he became a friend of Yahweh. Isaac and Jacob followed the same thing. But then you had people who refused to serve. Saul refused to serve. There's a couple. King Uzziah refused to serve. Amaziah refused to serve. Ahab refused to serve. Pretty much every king of the kingdom of Yasharah refused to serve. And therefore, they were eliminated. You know what I'm saying? And then you got Stanley, he was coming through. And he was dealing more so of sitting back looking at having your heart in line with the man. You know what I'm talking about? And sitting back and looking at that he would bring destruction to your enemies. Because if you stood firmly and boldly for him, which is what the Most High told our ancestors when they were in the wilderness, that I destroyed 7 kings, even 10, for your name's sake. You know what I'm saying? And then you got Peel coming through behind him, and he's talking to you about the relationship, about how a man would have for his wife, how he would love her, how he would care for her, the things that he would do for her to make her heart be comforted. You know what I'm saying? And then lastly, you got Troy sitting back going to discuss with you about how you need to come through that door. And then if you come through that door, obviously that you would circumcise your ear, because you would have a desire to be a slave to your master. You want to be a slave to your master because you were pleased with your master and you did not want to depart from him, which is going back to being knit in love like Jonathan was with David. He had no desire to depart from his master. You know what I'm saying? The same way we should not have a desire to depart from the son of Jesse, the seed of David, Yahushua HaMashiach, because we have a desire to our master. We would not want to be separated from him. We know the only thing that can separate us from him is iniquity. You know what I'm saying? We know if we remove iniquity, we could be joined with him forever. That's what we had to sit back and look at. That's the microcosm of what each brother spoke with y'all about this afternoon. You know what I'm saying? It may have seemed like they were fragmented, but they all tried to interconnect in one form or another, considering that none of them probably discussed on what they were going to speak on, maybe in depthly. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'll come back through and just mention hit a couple things. But the last thing I want to hit, what I got you over, because I do want to hit this Psalm 55. Numbers 13 and 17. Psalm 55 and 20.
Numbers 13, 17. And Mushah sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said unto them, get you up this way southward, and go up into the mountain.
Ain't that something he said he sent them out to spy out the land, and that's what the Pharisees would come to do, was spy on the Mashiach. Come on.
And see the land, what it is, and the people that dwell therein, would they be strong or weak, few or many.
Mm-hmm.
And the land that they dwell, whether it be good or bad, and that the cities that they dwell in, were in tents or in the strongholds.
You in verse 17. Could be.
It say, see the land that it is that the people dwell in it, whether it be strong or weak or few or many. And the land that they dwell in, whether it be good or bad, and that the cities that they dwell in are tents or in strongholds. 17 to say they spied the land. Okay, and it said to them, get south out of his mouth.
Go ahead.
Read that again.
Matter of fact, make it number 14. Yeah. That's it.
Numbers 14, 17. It say, and now I beseech thee, let the power of my Yahuwah be great, according as thou hast spoken, saying, Yahuwah is long-suffering, of great mercy, forgiving the iniquity transgression, by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the
So I'm
children.
gonna tell you something about the Most High. I told this, I've told y'all that many times. He'll forgive you, but you ain't gonna get scot-free with it though. Come on,
To the third and the fourth generation.
come on.
Pardon, I beseech thee, in the iniquity of this people, according to thy greatness of thy mercy, and thou hast forgiven this people from Egypt unto now.
From Egypt unto now, because they were steady not believing that he was he. Go ahead.
And now Yahuwah said, I have pardoned according to thy word. But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the esteem of Yahuwah.
So he didn't kill us all. But those that believe not, because we got to get it, but we know in that same verse, what is it, about verse 24, he tell them that he swear in his wrath, they shall no wise enter in. He swore in his wrath, boy, you're not getting in, boy. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's one of the most horrible things ever. You're not getting in here, boy. That's rough. Come on, this Psalm 55:20. We got to go.
55 verse 1.
20.
Psalms 55 verse 20. He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him.
He said he put his hand against those as such as be at peace with him. So you know what that is? That's a betrayer. Come on.
He hath broken his covenant.
He broke his covenant.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter,
Smoother than butter. Master.
but war was in his heart.
War was in his heart.
His words were softer than oil,
So, well, you got what? You got to watch niggas like to flatter you.
yet were they drawn swords.
Drawn sword. Boy, they coming to kill. Boy, I'm sitting back and tell you something. Boy, somebody come with all that flattery, man. Boy, that's how they get you. See, that's what some of y'all be looking for. Somebody tell you how nice you is, how good you look, how nice you smell. You know what I'm talking about? And the whole time, boy, they were smoothing the oil. It's swords in their heart. Come on.
Cast thy burden upon Yahuwah.
He said, cast it where?
Thy burden upon the Elohim.
Cast it where?
On the Elohim.
What, ain't that something? Because all that's talking about is when they came to get a Mashiach.
And he shall sustain thee.
Why, now how did he cast the burden on the and he'll do what?
Sustain thee.
And what else?
And he shall never suffer the righteousness to be
Matthew
moved.
27:52. Make it 47. Hopefully that sun clean this stuff well, or oh well.
Matthew 27:47.
Come on.
And while yet he spake, lo, Yehuda, one of the 12, came in with him a great multitude with swords and staves from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave the Messiah, saying, whoever I kiss, that same is he. Hold fast.
Same way he was talking about how we seen Samuel kiss Saul. Come on.
And forthwith he came to Yahusha and said, Hail, master, and kissed him.
Words smoother than butter, sweeter than, like I said, smoother than oil. War was in his heart, though. Come on.
And he said, and Yahusha said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come?
Where you come from?
And they came and laid hands on Yahusha and took him.
Took it.
And behold, one of them which were Yahusha stretched out his hand and drew a sword and struck a
See,
servant.
the reason why we're reading this is because you know he had already told them that they would want somebody going to betray him, right? And he said his soul was exceedingly sorrowful even unto death, right? But what did he do? Father, not my will be done, thy will be done. He cast his burden on Yah. Come on.
And he struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear.
Come on.
And then Yahusha said unto him, Put up again thy sword into this place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with it.
Now we got to go no further. You say, you know how he said he will sustain that he won't call the righteous to be moved? Don't you remember he told his apostle, all y'all gonna flee from me tonight. But what did he do? I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. They gonna have to come with it, right? I got the breastplate of judgment on. Same way everybody fled from Goliath, right? But what did David do?
Step up.
He cast his burden on Yah, and he was going to sustain him. He's not going to cause me to be moved. That's what we have to consider. Psalms 38:3. That's the last thing. Go with this. Psalms 38:3. I'm telling y'all this to say this here. Casting a burden is a responsibility or work. He cast. That's why he told you, everybody that's heavy laden, come unto me and I'll give you rest. You can say, my burden is easy and my yoke is light. So what is he telling you? If you cast your burden on Yah, and you righteous, he will sustain you. Sustain you is to strengthen you or to keep you or to give you what you need. He said you're not going to be moved.
There is no soundness in my flesh because of thy anger. Neither is there any rest in my bones
We
because
already
of my
know
sin.
Masha was exceedingly sorrowful even unto death. He done drunk that cup. He done became sin. He done drunk the cup of the wicked. Come on.
For my iniquities are gone over my head.
They over my head.
As a heavy burden, they are too heavy for me.
Now how does this mean when he say they're a heavy burden, they too heavy for me? Come on, read that verse. Let's see what it says.
My wounds stink.
That's good. How is there a heavy burden too heavy for him? What that mean? It's too much for him.
As I said,
So how was it too much for a Masha then if it was a heavy burden? I can't carry it, I can't take it no more. That's why he came through with Simon the Cyrene to bear the cross for him, because it was too heavy for him. And you know what that go back to? Two is better than one. Because if one fall, somebody be there to pick you up. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was sitting back telling you, I was just talking about, you heard me preach about this last week. That's why some stuff don't try to go it alone. You go it alone, the burden be too heavy, you can't carry it, you've been unfair, who's gonna pick you up? You know what I'm saying? But if you sit back and you look at it, it's too heavy for him. Even with a Masha, he ain't carry that burden alone. Father ain't made a provision. Come on, Simon will carry it for you. You know what I'm saying? Just cast your burden on me. I'll sustain it. That's good. Praise y'all for you.